Okay, everybody, it's me, Gregory Mannarino. It is Sunday, June 27, 2021, and this here, right now, is my newest segment of Markets A Look Ahead. But before I get there, I want to just say this. So I took off Friday, as most of you know. It's a pretty rare event, but it made me feel kind of weird. When I get thrown off of my game like that, I missed all of you. That's the truth. I enjoy sitting here doing these video blogs for you. I love listening to the comments, reading the comments, and I don't know. I just wanted to get that out there, that I really did miss all of you. All right, with that said, let's get back to work here. I'm sitting here this morning and I'm writing some stuff down on this little piece of paper as I'm eating breakfast. Stuff that I think we need to talk about for this coming weekend and moving forward as well. But before we go forward, let's go back. I love to take a snapshot, over the last couple of weeks and just put a perspective on this. So what has happened? Well, the stock market has hit several new all-time record highs. And you're not surprised about that. No one that follows this blog is surprised about that. Crude oil is $74 a barrel. It's going much, much higher. The dollar has given back some of its knee-jerk higher reaction when the Federal Reserve, threw the prospect out there of possibly raising rates in 2023. It's not going to happen. I want to talk more about that too. The 10-year yield is stable. I mean, look at the scenario here. Like I explained to you all the time, the unholy trinity. The unholy trinity for the market, and you got to keep your eyes on these things, is the dollar. What's the Dixie, the dollar index, doing? Crude oil and the 10-year yield. If you are in a scenario like now, where the dollar is giving back some of its gains, crude oil $74 a barrel, going higher, and a stable 10-year yield, nothing else matters when you have a central bank, the Fed, who's continuing to buy it all. The market will go higher. See, this is, I think, really the dilemma out here. Again, there's a lot of guys out here, YouTube bloggers and people talking about crashes and tops, and they just don't understand the dynamics of what's driving the market. Again, look, this is all a twisted freak show, and none of it makes sense. And I think that's part of it. And it's hard to break out of the normal thinking for the market. Again, nothing makes sense, and nothing is what it seems here. So you have to start thinking differently, okay? And that will allow you to understand where the market's going. Again, nothing matters here, people. Earnings, fundamental factors, forward guidance, PE ratios, nothing at all. It's all 100% about what's the Fed doing, what's it going to do next. And look, I've pretty much called this Fed to such a high degree of accuracy. It's frightening. It really is. I mean, think about it. Those of you that have been with me for a long period of time, in the last decade, I have been wrong twice in 10 years. Longer than 10 years. That record is pretty stunning. So I have gotten myself into the head of the Fed. I understand what they're doing, what their goal is. So do you. If you've been following this blog, their goal is to own it all, to be the lender and buyer of last resort. While we're on that topic, let me just touch on that real quick. So there's all this talk about inflation. It's everywhere. When is the Fed going to taper? When are they going to lift off? Blah, blah, blah. We got to do something about inflation. The Fed has no intention at all, zero, on normalizing rates. As a matter of fact, and I told you this already, the Fed is going to be increasing asset purchases, not decreasing, increasing. And how do we know that? Again, people, you and I, have not had one single piece of real good economic news in years. It's all been, propagandized. Oh, our economy is booming. It's as strong as it's ever been. Blah, blah, blah. It's all been lies. Lies for years and years. All we have done, all the Fed has done, is give the illusion of that things are good by propping up the stock market by buying it all, by hyper ballooning our debts and deficits. The U.S. debt to GDP ratio is out of control. And again, the Fed has no intention at all of normalizing rates for the foreseeable future. For 2023 is not happening. Ignore the fake news. Ignore the propaganda, because that's the truth. And again, this is coming from a guy who's been wrong twice in over 10 years with regard to what the Fed would do. So keep that in mind. The Fed here is in a spot where they will not let go of their stranglehold on not just the United States, but the world. Their goal is to continue to inflate on a massive, massive scale. So just keep that in mind here. And again, ignore the mainstream media, their narrative right now. And, it's been going on for weeks. Inflation, yeah, duh. We have inflation. Like, we didn't know this was coming. Are you kidding me, people? I've explained to all of you since I don't know how long years. There's no way to stop it, okay? Because it's been put in motion. When you have an entity, a central bank, for example, like the Fed, that is deliberately running an inflation creation machine, issuing debt through one door, buying it through another door, all of these extra bills that are floating out there at one time have no choice by design but to chase the same amount of goods. It's economics 101. This is not by accident. Nothing is by accident. And again, look what they do when our members of Congress get the freak show parade before them. I'm talking about Yellowstone Powell, the Fed chair, or any Fed president. They don't ask any questions of substance at all. It's always like, thank you for your service. That's what they do. Thank you for your service? Really? This is the freak show that you and I are stuck in. We have no representation. You know that. It's out of control, people. It really is. So let's talk further here. So while we're on the topic, what just happened big? What big news just happened that I, for the most part, might have flown under the radar? So banks, the big Wall Street banks, they all passed their stress test with flying colors. You have to understand, look, these banks have a direct main line to the Federal Reserve, who is going to give them anything they need, any amount of cash, keep them fully liquefied. Again, this is the narrative. This is where it's going to go. How could they not pass their stress tests? So now that they have passed their stress tests, they're going to get the green light to buy back shares of their own stock and raise dividends. With that in mind, what does that mean? Okay, being that you and I realize the game here, the game is to keep the financial sector propped up. The game is also to keep the energy sector propped up via crude oil. You understand? By keeping the energy sector propped up by any mechanism necessary, by keeping the financial sector propped up by any mechanism necessary, it lifts the entire market. All right, these are some of the, again, dynamics of the market that those people out here calling for a market crash tomorrow, calling for a market top which has passed everybody's wildest expectations. Okay, if you understand the dynamics behind what they're doing, why they're doing it, you will see why the market is going not just higher, but it's going much higher, regardless of anything else. Economy in free fall. Again, just last week we got, let's touch on just 3 pieces of bad economic news. Durable goods orders falling off of a cliff. Okay, imagine my surprise here. First time unemployment claims, another 411,000. Capital goods orders, reversing and going lower. You can't make this stuff up. It's impossible to do. But the bad economic news is what's keeping this market all excited. I'm spraying my shorts. Seriously, come on. You know that. It's so out of control. It's so completely freaking twisted, people. I got to tell you. So like I said, ignore Any calls that you hear that the Fed is going to be raising rates anytime soon, regardless of how fast inflation is rising. We've never seen this before. Inflation rising at its fastest pace in history. In history. By accident? Really? Honestly, people? Bad economic news is going to keep on coming. So, this week, we can expect several things to happen. We will get more bad economic news. There's no doubt about it. That is going to keep the market giddy. You got the prospect here that banks are going to start buying back shares of their own stock, increasing dividends. So where do you want to be? Where do you want to be? Where has Greg Mannarino been explaining to all of you for months that you should be in a few things? I've been telling people that subscribe to my free newsletter. Look in the description of this video. Buy tech stocks. Tech stocks have been doing fantastic. Energy, crude oil, and the financials, the banks. People, really, this is where you need to be. You also, obviously, okay, I'm going to repeat myself, need to be betting against the debt hyper bubble. Okay, how do you do it? How does Greg Mannarino recommend how to stay on the right side of the debt market hyper bubble? Own hard assets. Anti-debt units. And you know what these are. Okay, physical gold, especially physical silver. Also, I love platinum and palladium. Okay, silver, my favorite asset of all time. Okay, you also need to be in cryptocurrencies in my view. You don't have to. You don't feel like that space is right for you. Again, massive volatility, massive swings. We've seen cryptocurrencies consolidating here for quite a while. That's an interesting thing I would like to touch on just real quick. Cryptocurrencies lately have been stuck in a very tight range. So what are we looking for? Either a breakout to the upside or a breakout to the downside. A breakout to in either direction is likely. Okay, if we get a breakout to the upside, you know where it's going to go. If we get a breakout to the downside, which is distinctly possible, what am I going to do? Am I going to panic? Am I going to sell my crypto? No, I will not be doing that, okay? I look at these things as long-term. I don't even think about it. I don't think about it. To me, still, okay, I'm not going to change my perspective. For those of you that think I am going to, I'm not going to. I am going to hold these things until we see some type of regulation here in the United States. Until that time, and maybe even beyond that, I'm not sure, I will still remain a bull here in this space, okay? So that's my take on cryptos. Going back to becoming your own central bank, people, it's a no-brainer. Do me a favor, if you have not done this yet. While you're watching this lovely video, okay, I want you to open up a new window and look up the Dow gold ratio, okay, and then the gold silver ratio. And do a little research on your own about what these things mean. I've explained this to you a million times, and I'll just touch on it kind of briefly. We are at historic levels with regard to these things, which prove to us, again, and to me, that gold and silver physical are beyond massively undervalued. And silver is the most undervalued asset on the planet. There's no other asset, in my view, today that is more undervalued than physical silver. Okay, I don't sell silver. I'm not trying to, get you guys to buy Greg Mannarino silver. I'm just trying to tell you how I feel about this. You all know how I am. I am a very direct guy. I just tell it like it is, and that's it. And for the most part, look, I'm not right all the time, people. I'm not right all the time. But look at my record going back as far back as you want to go. I am right a vast majority of the time. No one can be right 100% of the time, but I think my track record is phenomenal. I really, really do. All right, just another thing real quick. So this party on July 4th, people, it's going to happen. I am going to place a link in the description of this video to the venue. Okay, so please, it's called Notoriety. It's on Fremont Street out here in Las Vegas, July 4th from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. So we got a nice little slot there. We're going to have a blast. We're going to have food, drinks, entertainment, all kinds of stuff is going to happen over there. So if you are one of the 300 people that got a ticket, bring your ticket with you when you come. It was a free ticket. If you didn't get it, come anyway, okay? And when you get to the door, just use the code Greg Knows Me, all right? Anyway, with this particular venue, they are saying that they want people 21 years old and older. And look, there's nothing I can do about it. We have had a hell of a time here with our last event getting canceled on us. It's insane. But this one is going to happen. And I want to see you there. I want to meet you. I really do. Casual dress. You're not going to be able to bring any alcohol. Just bring yourself. Have some fun. Expect to have a blast. And that's it. That's the situation right now. So anyway, if you want to have a look at the venue, again, for July 4th here in Las Vegas, Notoriety is the name of the place. There's a link in the description of this video. And I think I covered a lot of important things here, kind of a long video. Please share it. I count on you. You all that. This guy here loves you a lot, and I mean that from the heart. I will see all of you in the morning, and it's going to be just freaking perfect.